guys, so I'm finally getting back to y'all. It's been a minute. Been really busy. As you can see, we've got a shop finally, so we've been doing a lot on the side kind of over here, especially with his Challenger. And we got news. Unfortunately, he sold the race truck that we were building, that 08 single cab Silverado, so that is no longer around. But hey, it's always moving forward. We'll move on to bigger and better things, and so now we're working on his Challenger. We've got a clutch kit that we're in the midst of doing, which we've already pulled the transmission. Got the bell housing sitting here, the clutch is sitting right there. We're just waiting for the new clutch to show up. That way we can put that back in. He also went and got himself a K&N cold air intake, and he got some new coils from Summit for it. And we went ahead and swapped out the spark plugs because they were worn the fuck out. And unfortunately, one of them on this side, the end of the spark plug, the arches, broke off, and it is actually in the cylinder head, which he also has long tube headers that we're putting on, which we got wrapped up and ready to put up under there, looking nice. But we took the old ones out, or at least he did, and when he was pulling off the passenger side, we unfortunately have an issue with a broken header bolt. So we've tried to mess around and tap it out. The tap broke. We tried welding to it a little bit, and unfortunately it's just too much of an angle to really get to it. So right now we are pulling off this head, that way we can actually get to it and get that broken stud, or not stud, but header bolt out of there. That way we can install these long tube headers and get this thing started to put back together. So slowly getting there, but we're getting there. So we'll update y'all a little bit further as we get along here, see how things are looking on the inside since that broken spark plug. I mean, obviously it's got to be in the cylinder, so we'll see what that piston's looking like and whatnot. So we'll get back at you in a minute. All right, so got the head out and got the washer and the nut welded up to that stud. Did really good using the flex core, probably second time. Used it yesterday, but I didn't have my helmet and stuff, so I had it today, and boy, we are out, boy. So exhaust header bolt removed, thank God. So we had to tear down the whole passenger side, pull out all the rockers and the push rods. So of course we lost a little coolant, but got all that checked out, everything checked out with the piston. Luckily nothing with that spark plug caused any issues. So now we've got the header exhaust bolt removed, so we are good to go. Now we can get this head, stick it back on the car, get it all tightened back down. We're gonna have to get our torque wrench and set everything back properly, but other than that, we are good to go as far as removing that old broken exhaust bolt. So thank God we were able to get that out. So as you can tell, just made it a new head for it, and came right out. So luckily, unfortunately, while it was in the vehicle, I couldn't really get the right angle at an upward angle like that to really get down in that nut to be able to weld everything together nice and tight. But did that and then gave her a few tacks on the outside, and she came right out, thank God. So that is out of our way. Now on to the next part. Woo! We're getting there.
Don't record me.
So now we got this dude from Minnesota out here in Texas thinking he all big and bad, when he really finding out what Texas really about. He thought he had a fast scat, but really he had a slow ass boat is what he got. Look at this, look at this, look at this. This nigga got wide body wheels on a motherfucking fleet body. Who the fuck does that? Look at this, look at this, look at this. SXT.
Full carbon
Look,
fiber.
this is fake, bro. This is just an add-on for the V6 Chargers, bro. Look, this fool is capping. He from Minnesota. If you ever see this fool, his name is Nova. Don't listen to him. He a liar. He say he on E85 when he really on 87. Look at that. Look at that. V6. V6. Look at that. Baby shit. Little six banger. Misfiring like a motherfucker too. What a piece of shit. Look at fake ass carbon fiber. Like, look, it ain't put an AFE power sticker on there like it's right. Like, come on now, bro. Come on now, bro. Anyway, back to what we were doing. We've got him up under here, finally installing the headers. Got the head all back in, and now I've been working on getting all the push rods, got them all back in, got the rockers all set back up, got to finish tightening them down and finish putting the valve cover back on, but pretty much there. Then of course hooking all the injectors and everything back up, as well as the coils and all the evap, fuel lines, all that fun stuff. So we are slowly getting there. And then we should have the clutch within the next 10 days. So hopefully that'll be here soon so we can get this thing up off these jack stands, because they're crying because of this big ass boat that's on top of it. So we'll get back at y'all when we kind of get a little bit more progress. Probably gonna finish up here for the night and have him finish up down there, and then that'll probably finish it up for this one. Sheesh. All right, guys, finally back at it with you guys. I forgot to kind of pick up the video as I was going along in here, but we got the valve cover finished up, got the rockers and everything tightened down, then the valve cover put on, tightened down, got the coils all put in, everything's hooked up back with that, got the ground back on the back side of it. Made sure we plugged in the brake booster vacuum line on the back of the intake. That was a very big thing. Then of course torqued everything down. There was one connector in the back. There's another connector on this, which that whole evap part slides up, and we disconnected it from here, just pulled it out and pushed it back in to reinstall it. So that went back together pretty smoothly. Made sure to hook up everything on this side again. Also made sure to lock them in. Got the throttle body hooked back up. Trying to think. We got our intake air temperature sensor hooked back up, so that's all good. Fuel is connected again back over here. That was pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. I believe that was pretty much it. Nothing special, all pretty simple, just like going through, taking anything else apart, put it back together the same way. So got all that put back together, thank God. It's all good now, and went over everything on the header bolts and got all the ones that are kind of loose tightened down, and all the other ones double checked, and everything is good to go. There's one over here that's iffy, so I let my buddy know that obviously this is his car, so I let him know about the situation. So hopefully that's not an issue. All the rest of them went in fine. So got all that finished up, got the bumper put back on, so it is slowly going back together. We've got his seats, of course, still out over here. Got his transmission sitting over here with his bell housing and his clutch. Still waiting on the new clutch to arrive. That way we can install the new clutch, put the bell housing back on, and start getting the transmission slap back in there. So we've got all that going on. We've also got the drive shaft once we get the transmission back in. Once we do all that, we have to come in here, finish putting in the clutch again, because he decided he was gonna jump ahead of everything and go ahead and put it in once. So he had to turn around and pull it out. So at least he got a practice run on it, so he knows what he's doing. So we've got to reinstall that back in here, and then of course the center console, put that back in, and then put the other seat back in. But we are almost there, guys. And yeah, man, I mean, I say this is easy. Of course it's pretty difficult. I mean, of course, definitely putting the long tube headers on here, that is a complete bitch without pulling the whole motor or pulling the body off of the suspension. So that was quite the ordeal. But glad that's all done and taken care of. Just trying to think of anything else with it. But yeah, guys, so hopefully here soon we will get that clutch in. Hopefully it should be in the next week or so, I believe. We should have that in so we can finish putting that in. Already got the drive shaft over here waiting. So other than that, once we get all that finished up, he does have to finish out his exhaust on this, because of course going to long tube headers, if nothing with the stock exhaust will just mount up to it. So he's got to get all that done. So it should be pretty exciting once we're all done. He did put some aftermarket coils on here, as you can see. So pretty interested to see what it'll do. Got brand new spark plugs. It's got 110,000 miles on it, I think. So the old spark plugs were toast, but new coils, new spark plugs, cold air intake, long tube headers, new drive shaft because the old carrier bearing decided it was not gonna live anymore. So had to get a new one because unfortunately after 2014 Dodge made it to where you have to replace this as a unit. And he was gonna go with the one-piece drive shaft, but he didn't want to wait the 2 months for it to be manufactured. So he found one of these locally, like an hour and a half away, and had a decent price on it, so he went ahead and went and picked it up. So we are getting it back together, but back again to things being hard. I mean, man, I'm not certified at all. I just have a basic knowledge of stuff, and I mean I sat here and took this head off of this 2016 Challenger, as well as the rocker arms and all that stuff, and put it all back together, torqued everything back down properly, so everything is torqued to spec. So I mean, this is really something everybody can kind of do. I mean, yes, it does kind of seem overwhelming, just like you saw. I mean, we had the whole head off the thing. We had to pull the header, broken header stud, or not stud, but bolt. And that was a new experience for me. That was the first time I had ever pulled a head on a vehicle. So that was actually pretty cool to actually do this on his car. Kind of a learning moment for us. We also got to change the oil after we kind of get everything moving along a little bit more before we started up, because we did kind of get some coolant in our head, or in our pistons. So we do want to make sure that all that's drained out and it's not mixed with our oil going through our system. And then of course top off the coolant a hair, because we did lose a little bit. Shouldn't have been too much. Everything kind of looks good over here, but of course we have to wait to start the vehicle, kind of get everything flowing, get all the coolant flowing through the block and whatnot to make sure that we've got enough. But other than that, she'll be back together, and we'll make a video once we have it all back together running on the street. That way y'all can kind of experience this with us. This is something we really enjoy. That's why we have this shop here. This is the life. I mean, and I'd always talked about having a shop, and that's something that's very sentimental to me, because this is something that me and my best friend that passed away on Christmas that we talked about and had always dreamed about. So it's really cool to be able to do this, especially at such a young age. I mean, I'm only 22 and I'm out here doing this. So I'm very happy to be doing this. I'm happy to be able to share it with you guys. So I appreciate every one of y'all. I'm not gonna annoy y'all any longer. Thank you to everybody who's been subscribing. Of course, we're only at like 213 subscribers, but hey, we are slowly growing. It seems like every time I turn around and look at it again, it's slowly rising. So I appreciate every single one of y'all. That's gonna do it for this video. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, guys, finally back at it again. So went ahead and kind of took a break for a little bit. We had to pull the flywheel, go get it resurfaced. Went and got that done today. Went and finally he caved in and picked up the dual disc clutch kit. So we've got that all now. Did our measurements, we're all good for that. So we'll be installing this flywheel here shortly. Then work on installing the clutch. Had to go get some sockets too because we didn't have the right 12 point for it to get those bolts off. Other than that, we'll start slapping this thing back together, hooking everything back up. Once we get the flywheel back on, get it torqued down, get the clutch took apart, start installing it, put it all together, torque it all down. Then once we do all that, we will start getting the transmission, setting it up in there, and start reinstalling everything. And she'll be back together, and we'll finally get a startup, see what these long tubes sound like without any exhaust at the moment, because his appointment for that is Monday. But kind of just get a little baseline of where we are at. So we'll get back at it the further we kind of get along here, kind of give y'all some updates on everything.